Hey everybody, it's Christian Buckley doing another MVP Buzz Chat and talking today with Mert. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going today?
It's an hectic day as always. How are you?
I'm doing well. So for folks that don't know you, who are you, where are you, and what do you do?
Okay, my name is Mert Yeter, and I am located in Istanbul, Turkey. And I am working as a cloud security architect, but I am doing all the Azure stuff in my company. I am working for a company located in the UK, and I'm working remotely. And also, I'm a dual MVP in Azure and Azure AI. And I am trying to be a contributor to the community, both in UK and in Turkey.
Excellent. So are you doing a lot of speaking at events, all over Europe? Are you like what are your primary contribution types? Where can people see your face and your name?
Um, Actually, I prefer attending in-person events nowadays, but also I am doing webcasts. I have a webcast series called Cafe Azure, and I am doing it with my MVP friends, and we complete the episode 55 previous week. Also, to be honest, I quit blogging because making webcasts and attending in-person events are, they are much popular right now
Hmm.
because people like watching videos instead of reading. That's why I quit blogging this year. But before, I have a blog post trying to write blog posts about AI and other Azure technologies. But right now, I prefer in-person events and other online events. And sometimes I visit UK because of my work and try to attend some of the in-person events there.
Yeah, there's I know that, post pandemic, there's been a lot of areas that have been kind of slower to get back into the in-person
Yeah.
events. And some of them, the numbers are doing really well, and growing. I know that, yeah, it's like a lot of user groups are still kind of struggling and trying to
Yeah.
find what's the right mix for that. But, what are kind of your passion topics that you're speaking on, that you're creating videos around right now?
Um, I can say everything about Azure, but now I focus on Azure AI, some security stuff, mostly focus on AI. But sometimes
Like,
I talk about the development because I have a development background. And like I was working as a software engineer like 15 years.
mhm.
But right now I have the 20 years experience in total. And the 15 years of it is writing code, most of the time writing code for Azure. Then I switched to DevOps, and then the cloud architecture, and right now I focus on security.
Yeah, I was going to ask whether you've spent the bulk of your career in the Microsoft ecosystem.
Yes.
But moving over into DevOps, that's one of those areas where I've been in tech for my entire career, over 30 years. And a few times where I've talked with college students, like in computer science, that are asked, like, what's your advice of where to go and focus? And I remember talking to a group around 2003, 2004, and was a group of students at UC Berkeley, and was giving them kind of advice as a startup, as a CEO back then, um, like what to go and focus on. And I talked about, now we call it, the DevOps space. I said, there's so much opportunity behind running the systems, the platforms, the tools to keep engineering teams running, to product companies moving forward. I just think it's still just such a great space where there are not enough people that have that level of expertise.
Um, Actually, DevOps is a big world. There are lots of things to learn. There are lots of open source projects. For example, when you start learning any product or a project, a couple of months later, there are another release and a different product. Sometimes they are like an upgrade, or they are competitors for the other products. So
Hmm.
it is like a never-ending process. You need to learn every day, every time. But
Right.
I focus on Microsoft stack, so like the Azure DevOps, GitHub. and related stuff, but I like learning open source stuff. For example, I never got a chance to work on Kubernetes, but I got a chance to work on Azure Kubernetes service. And, it's a entirely different architecture, different expertise. But I can say if you start working one part of the DevOps world, you need to learn different type of technologies, because when you, for example, if you have a task you need to complete, you need a tool. It can be an open source project or it can be a closed source one. You need to choose carefully, but I can easily say you cannot say I would like to use Kubernetes and I want to use it, because if you don't need to use Kubernetes in a project, for example, if your system is not suitable to use Kubernetes and if you still want to use Kubernetes, it is not the correct way to do it, because it can lead to different problems. As you know, one of my friends says, for example, you don't need hammer just for a simple pin. So I think the most important thing is choose the correct tool for your needs.
Well, that's always the case. Yeah.
I can understand. I love learning new stuff, and every day I am trying to find new project, new tools on GitHub, and sometimes I like them. I want to use them in my current projects. I think that's the correct way to learn new stuff, but I think people needs to wait for the right time to use tools. For example, I started learning Docker when they first announced, but I waited for a long time to use it in my projects. And I started using Docker maybe previous year or maybe 2 years before. But that time was the right time to use Docker in the project. But I started learning a very, very long time ago. And that time I can say, okay, guys, I know Docker, so we can use it because it has these kind of features and we need that features. So this is the correct tool.
Well, that's why, coming from a, project management, not an engineering background, but I mean, the same is always true. I'm a big, governance guy, and big part of governance is that you don't treat every project exactly the same. You don't try to attempt to use the same tool just because you're most familiar with it, because that's what you're most familiar. You need to recognize that, hey, we have a different project that requires these other tools. It's the same with process, with project management around that. You can't solve every problem with a hammer. Some, the hammer works. When you get into a larger organization where you can specialize, and so you could even have the program team that says, hey, this is a project that requires this set of tools. Let's go leverage our experts on these projects. But smaller organization, you don't have that benefit. But it's well, let me ask you this, because I'm interested in understanding too, like as a dual MVP, like what was your path to becoming an MVP the first time, and how did you kind of branch that off and become a dual MVP?
Okay, I think it's a bit weird story because I didn't want to become an MVP, and I'm contributing to the community for a long time. And one of my friends say you should be an MVP, and I said no, I am not doing this to become an MVP. I am doing this for the community, and I believe teaching is the best way of learning. So I am trying to teach, and I'm trying to learn new technologies, helping other devs and other tech people. And one day he said, check your inbox, and I look at, and he recommended me as an MVP, and it was really exciting for me. Then you know the process, and a couple of months later, I got an email from Microsoft that you are awarded as an MVP in Azure. I think it's a really important moment in my life, because being an MVP is really important because it's a great community. You can reach lots of people after you become an MVP. And I start attending different kind of events around the world. I meet lots of people, and also I can attend different user groups events. And this year, I've been recognized in 2 categories, and to be honest, it's a surprise for me because I am in contributing in AI, but I was not expecting to be awarded in AI, also in 2 different categories. It was a nice surprise for me, but right now I am trying to contribute in both categories. You know, AI is inevitable in tech industry.
Just
So
about every
if
topic
you're,
right now
yeah,
has AI. Yeah.
yeah. If you're a developer or a platform engineer, a DevOps guy, or even a product manager, you must learn how AI works because everybody right now, they are trying to integrate AI in their products. They try to use in their daily life, in work. It's really game-changing technology right now, and it is evolving every day. And I am trying to catch up every new change. But I think it's one of the biggest invention in human history.
Yeah, I think it's I keep saying that, and it's changing so fast and evolving so quickly. I don't think we're going to even recognize. I mean, that the interface now, which is more the generative AI front end to a tool, where it sits alongside an existing tool and lets
Yeah.
you kind of talk about, your what's happening in your workspace. I think it's going to be a much more integrated. It's just going to be a very different experience than what we're doing today, and a lot of it will just become fluid. It'll just be inside the applications, and we'll get, I don't know, normalized to it. We won't even recognize that what's some of the AI that's happening behind the tools, that it's going to be doing things for us. But yeah, I mean, it's an exciting time to be in tech for sure.
Yeah.
Well, so thinking about so your journey is an MVP, and it's always interesting to hear like how people became MVPs, because I've heard a similar story from you, like as yours, as somebody that submitted their name and they weren't even fully aware of that, and they get the notification. It's a complete surprise. Most people that are interested in becoming MVP, and they're doing a lot of the work, they have to, like the community aspects. And I always say the same thing, similar to what you said. Like, I wasn't looking to be an MVP. It was, look, I'm doing these things because this is what I enjoy. I also I learn through, I research things, I write about it, I teach it, I speak on those topics. As I like to share what I'm practicing, what, the knowledge and experience that I have. And I'm going to do that. I was doing it before I was an MVP. I'll do it after I'm an MVP. That wasn't why I did it, for that recognition. But for most folks that are, on that path, they get then the form, they have to fill it out and submit it. Like, here's all of the, the types of contributions, the things that I'm doing out in the community. But talking to people who that know you, or from the community, that see that you have this award, this recognition, I'm sure people have come to you and say, hey, what is that process, or what can I do differently? What are your recommendations? What do you tell those people of how they could change, like what they're doing, or how they're classifying and surfacing those contributions, so it becomes more visible, so that they can be considered for the program? What's your advice to those people?
Okay. My only first advice is to join a community, because lots of people wants to make contributions, like writing blogs or attending in-person events, webcasts, and there are lots of different types of contributions. But the most important thing is how many people you can reach. So, for example, let's imagine that I am not an MVP and I start a YouTube channel and I start a blog, but it only access for a couple of people at the beginning. But if you want to access lots of people, it's great place to start as a community, because community has its audience. For example, it has a YouTube channel, or it can has a website that already have audience. For example, maybe more than 1,000 people.
Mhm.
They are tracking that community activities. So I think it's a great place because it is not only for accessing most of people in the community. Also, you can get lots of new friends, so they can help you for
Yep.
your process. Also, you can, for example, share some experiences. For example, you can attend events together, because I have some friends making their contributions together. For example, I mentioned about I am doing a webcast series, and in this series, I have 2 friends with me, and we are 3 people doing the same webcast series together.
Mhm.
And I have a good relationship and good friendship within the community, and we are helping each other even in our works. For example, if I stuck in a problem, I can ask my friends in the community, "Hi guys, I need help. I stuck here. Can you please help me?" For example, have you ever encountered this kind of error message, or vice versa? So
Mhm.
it's a great place to share your expertise and also reach lots of people.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think that the networking uh,
yeah,
side of it is huge, because I mean it's a huge advantage to it. But anybody, even if you're not an MVP, I mean you can become very active in the community. There are
yeah,
Discord servers, there's communities on LinkedIn and Facebook and out on tech
yeah,
community and places where you can, and in various forums out there. Like there's one way people can get involved and build connections is to start by sharing your knowledge, is answering questions in various forums. And out on Microsoft Tech Community is a great place to go and do that. Go and
yeah,
find questions and share your experiences, even if it's been the technical solution's been provided, there's an answer there. If you have nuances, differences related to your country, your region, your industry, your role, that are slight variation on what others have shared, like share that additional experience, because someone may not identify with that other answer but have a similar role or company or industry as yours, and may find that information useful. But if you get in that habit of answering questions, of helping people solve problems. I mean, I run an AMA series with a bunch of friends. In fact, we're recording a segment later this afternoon where we'll answer 5 or 6 questions. And what's great about it is in the prep work, and there's a few things where I'm learning. It's like I know part of the answer, but it forces me to go and do a little research to be able to answer the entire question, or be aware of, if it's in a technology area I don't focus on, to learn new things in new areas. That's part of what drives me, is that, as just as you started, like by saying, it's like I learn best by seeing a problem, seeing a question, and then trying to go find the answer, test some things out, and gain that experience. But that's how I learned, through research, reading, writing, speaking about it, connecting with people in the community around that. And so being an MVP is great for that, but just networking, being in the community,
yeah.
you can get a lot of that benefit.
Okay, let me give you an example. One of my in-person events, one of the attendees asked me a question about Kubernetes, and I simply say, I don't know, because I don't have that part of experience in Kubernetes. And I asked the audience the question, are there anyone here know the answer? So a couple of people say it is because of this, and it may be because of this, or I may have the answer. So we talked about that question together, and that day I was a speaker, but I learned lots of stuff about Kubernetes. So it is like I am trying to teach some technologies to the people, but in that place, I am one of the learners. So I learn new stuff. So it is great to be in a community. It's not only for one-sided, like I always teach. Because you cannot say I know everything because the technology is changing every day. A couple of years before there is no AI, the AI is not a technology, but it is not quite popular. We are talking
Yeah.
about Docker, Kubernetes, DevOps, platform engineering, lots of things. But nowadays, they are still there. We need DevOps, we need Docker, we need Kubernetes. But right now, all the presentations, contributions, everything is about AI. Maybe a couple of years later, we will be talking about a different technology. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other side of this too is that like I'm going to be at a conference in a week and a half, traveling out of state, and it'll be one of my sessions. I've got 4 sessions. One of my sessions, this will actually be the 3rd or 4th time that I've given this presentation. Actually, might be the 5th time I've given this presentation, but the presentation has changed every time. I've modified it. There's been some new releases. There's been some changes with the most recent, like for this one. There's been
Yeah.
updates to Teams, to the chats, to the conversations, what's being released, and so I'm making modifications to this presentation to update that. But also, I love it when you get that kind of input from the crowd and be like, that's a great perspective, or I've not thought of that. And I will make
Yeah.
sure to go in and add the notes in. I always try to call out, like, I heard this from such and such person at this company at this event. Like, I will name drop, call out like where that additional information came from, which is another great way to, by highlighting the work of others, it's a great way to network. You
Yeah.
endear yourself to people. People love that when you properly attribute their hard work. It's the right thing to do anyway. It's the ethical thing to do when you're writing or presenting, but uh, that's something that constantly evolves and changes. The content. One of the reasons why I love technology, it's constantly evolving and changing.
Yeah.
So the idea, the concepts of that presentation are the same, but a lot of the content can change, can evolve based on the latest releases. So I
Yeah.
know other
Yeah.
speakers are really good at changing their topic, the titles of their presentations, and I'll leave the titles the same or very close to that, but then change. But almost every time, I would say this confidently, doing the same presentation twice in a row, they're not exactly the same. There are changes every time.
Yeah. I had a funny moment about this evolving technologies, and I could remember topic, but I was talking about an topic in Azure, and I don't like presenting with slides. I like making live demos, and I am studying in the demo one night before, and at the time of the event, when I open my browser and I type portalazure.com, and on the left side in the menu, Microsoft changed something and added a new item. And one of the attendees asked, "Oh, that is new. Can you please tell us what is this?" And I say, "I don't know because it wasn't there yesterday night."
Yeah.
So it is changing really, really fast.
Yep.
And we need to adapt in that speed.
Yep. No, I agree. And and people don't understand how fast things are changing. It's like Microsoft is making, weekly, there are changes that are happening, um, depending on the tool, the platform. But I mean, that's the power of the cloud and evergreen software. It's the SaaS model is that you're constantly getting those updates and new features and capabilities, but even changing of the the UI itself. Well, it's a fun space. Yeah, there, like I said, there's a lot of room to grow and a lot of room for new MVPs for people that are interested in these different areas. But Mert, let me ask you. So for folks that want to reach you, contact you, where are you most active in social? Where can people find you?
I am active on LinkedIn and Twitter, or maybe I should say X. But
X.
but mostly on LinkedIn.
Well, excellent. Well, we'll have, of course, the links out to got your out of your profile out to, if you can see his MVP profile, as well as your website, your GitHub page, and LinkedIn and X profiles, all that stuff. So we'll have that on the blog and out on YouTube. And really appreciate your time. It's nice meeting you. Are you gonna head out for the MVP summit this next year?
To be honest, I'd like to attend MVP Summit, but I cannot say anything right now.
Yeah, I know it's a long way to go, and it's expensive travel too, especially coming over to the US. But yeah, hopefully you're able to make it over, and we'll catch you at a future event.
Hopefully.
Well, thanks a lot for your time.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me.